Hey there. So I've noticed that we are making a couple of the same errors with our variable and our graphing practice. So I just wanted to go over a couple of these to help you guys out. So if you've already submitted your notes, but you see what I'm talking about, you've made these errors, please just go ahead and resubmit your notes. So that, we can get the best grade that we want. So if we're taking a look at number 1 here, it says a student. Let's say that student's name is Jessica, because I feel like it. Okay. So Jessica wants to test how the consumption of caffeine affects student performance on the end of course exam. She separated students into 3 groups. One group received a placebo, a pill containing water. One group received a pill containing 10 milligrams of caffeine, and another group received a pill containing 20 milligrams of caffeine. Students took the pills 1 hour before taking the end-of-course exam. She then compared the average exam scores of each group. So we need to identify our variables here in Jessica's experiment. Well, if I remember from my notes, my independent variable is the thing that I am manipulating. So in this experiment, Jessica, she is manipulating let's say that they either got a caffeine pill or not. That's what Jessica is manipulating. They either got the caffeine pill or they didn't. What's responding, or what's dependent on the caffeine pill or not, is the student performance. So I could also say consumption of caffeine. Because that was basically Jessica's hypothesis here is, can taking caffeine improve student performance on the end-of-course exam? So she tested that by giving students caffeine, different amounts, and then she compared their student performance on the exam. The control, remember your control is your baseline. It's being used as a comparison. So that's going to be the placebo, the group that didn't get any caffeine. Your constant variables is going to be that the students took the pills 1 hour before the exam. Right, if I gave the group that got the placebo, if I let them take the pill 5 minutes before the exam, but I let the group that took the 10 milligram caffeine 20 minutes for the exam, and then this group took it an hour before the exam, right, now I'm manipulating whether they got caffeine or not, and I'm manipulating when they got the caffeine. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I've only got one independent variable, okay? So then, in number 2, students of different ages were given the same puzzle to assemble. The puzzle assembly time was measured. So what I'm manipulating here is the students. Well, what about the students? Students of different ages. What is responding to that is basically the assembly time. Assembly time of puzzle, right? And if I think about it logically, it would make sense that a 15-year-old student would probably be able to assemble a puzzle much more quickly than a 6-year-old student. You're just going to be faster. So I am manipulating the ages of the students in my experiment. What's responding is the amount of time it takes them to assemble the puzzle. They don't mention a control group, so there isn't one. Constant variables is probably going to be the type of puzzle that I give them. Right? If I give my 15-year-old student a puzzle that has 1,000 pieces, but I give my 6-year-old student a puzzle that has 10 pieces, well, that's obviously not fair. That's not controlled. So the type of puzzle, the number of pieces that it has. The other issue that I'm seeing is with our graphs. So read, the directions, because the directions are always going to tell us what we need. So we need to graph the data for each experiment below. Make sure to give each graph a title, label the X and Y axis, and provide units. Provide a legend if needed, and then write the conclusion for the experiment, for what the experiment should be. So the first one's talking about over 4 weeks, I exposed some plants to different colored lights, and then it looks like I'm measuring the height of the plants in centimeters. So I'm going to need a couple different colors here. Do I have red? Let's see, it says blue, green, and red. Blue. Well, I think you guys are going to be out of luck. I don't have a green one, so we'll just use the orange. So I'm going to say week 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then my height is going to go over here on the side. So it looks like the shortest height was 2 and the tallest was 8. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. This is height, and that height was measured in centimeters. Then I'm going to graph my plants. So I'll use pink for my red one. So here's pink. So at week 1, this plant was 2 centimeters. So I'm going to say 2 centimeters. At week 2, it was at 3. Week 3, it was at 5. And then week 4, it was at 6 right here. And then I can draw that line. Then I'm going to do the same thing for my plant that was exposed to blue light. Week 1, it was also at 2. Week 2 was at 4, so a little bit higher. Week 3 was at 7. Week 4 was at 8. There we go. And then finally, my green plant, I don't have a green pen, sorry, green pens, I'm going to use black. So at week 1, it was also at 2. Week 2, it was still at 2. Oh, it's at 2 the whole way. So there we go. So a good title for this graph would probably be, growth of plant based on light color. Something like that. The title should just describe what's happening in the graph to whoever's reading it. So I have provided a title, I've labeled my X and Y axis, I provided units. My legend is just up here so the person can see which line represents which plant. I could also write it out to the side if I wanted to. But now I need to write a conclusion for the experiment. So when I take a look at my data, I would say that the green light was pretty terrible for the growth of the plant. It didn't grow at all. It went to 2 centimeters and then just stayed there. Red light was okay, and then blue light was probably best. So I would say my conclusion, in conclusion, blue light is best for the growth of plants. And this is just one experiment. You know, I didn't test, any other color. I didn't test white light. I didn't put anything in the dark. But this would be my conclusion for right here. So make sure you're following all of the instructions, and you've got everything you need. And you can always reference back in your notes if you can't remember what your variables are. So if you still have any questions, please reach out to me.